The Olympics are home to the most popular athletic events in the world, but some really weird ones do make it into the mix. Here's a guide to the 10 strangest Olympic events. Race walking looks like people trying to beat each other to the bathroom. It originated from a British competitive walking sport that was popular in the mid to late 19th century and was added to the games in 1904. To correctly race walk, you must have a foot in contact with the ground at all times. Next up is Equestrian Dressage, which is essentially horses dancing. As silly as it sounds, the event requires just as much training and athleticism as any other competition. Judges watch how smoothly a horse is able to perform specific movements and watch the rider to make sure they appear relaxed. The goal is to make it look like the horse is doing everything on its own because of how well it's trained. Scoring sixes is actually pretty good, and competitors with those marks tend to move on to the next round. Scoring nines is exceptional. The modern pentathlon is the most bizarre and intense of all the Olympic sports, and it's been around since 1912. It's basically a mashup of 5 independent events, making one super event. Competitors do fencing, 200-meter freestyle swimming, equestrian show jumping, and a combined 3,200-meter run and pistol shooting. The pentathlon is modeled after the skills of 19th century cavalry soldiers. Despite the fact that athletes are all competing at the same time, they don't compete directly with each other in any event except for épée fencing. Each athlete earns points based on their performances per event. The points are totaled up to determine who wins. Why run around a boring old track when you can add some crazy obstacles like fences and pools to the mix? The Steeplechase originated in Ireland as a horse race, where riders would go from one town steeple to the next, jumping over streams and the stone walls that commonly separated estates at the time. Over the years, people got tired of letting horses have all the fun, so it became an athletic event that's been in the Olympics since its modern conception in 1896. The race is 3,000 meters long and has 28 barriers to jump over, 7 of which are jumps into pools of knee-deep water. Competitors' shoes get wet and slippery, people trip over barriers, and it's not uncommon to see someone faceplant into a pool of water. Knowing that makes watching the race a lot of fun. Trampolining was added to the Olympics in 2000 and has stuck around ever since. Routines are filled with twists, rotations, shapes, and landing positions. Once a competitor presents themselves to the judges, they have 60 seconds to jump and gain some momentum before they start their routines. At the end of their routine, they get one out bounce to regain control before they have to stick the landing. Handball has been in the Olympics since 1972, but its lack of popularity in the US makes it foreign to Americans. 2 teams of 7 players pass a ball around with their hands and try to throw the ball into the other team's goal. Players can either pass it to one another, take up to 3 steps, or dribble as they move. Matches have 2 periods of 30 minutes. Body contact is allowed, although players cannot deliberately hit their opponents. Water polo is like handball in the water. 2 teams of 6 field players and a goalkeeper each attempt to score points by throwing a ball into their opponent's goal. Games consist of 4 quarters and are played in pools that are nearly 6 feet deep. While nobody can say for certain, the game originated in Scotland around the late 19th century as a type of water rugby. Water polo is a contact sport, so things can get pretty physical. Players have to keep themselves afloat with egg beater kicks and can only use a single hand to do all throwing and catching. Formerly known as whitewater slalom, the Canoe Kayak slalom involves navigating a course of river rapids as fast as possible. The event has been part of the Olympics since 1992. Competitors have to go through marked gates, and each course has anywhere from 18 to 25 of them. Green gates are downstream gates, and red are upstream. If a competitor goes through a gate backwards or misses it completely, they get a penalty of 50 seconds. Each competitor gets 2 runs per heat to try and get the best time they can. The hammer throw is odd-looking, dangerous, and super fun to watch. Originally dating back to the 15th century, it is one of the oldest official Olympic events in existence, debuting in 1900. The men's hammer weighs 16 pounds and the women's is nearly 9 pounds. To throw the hammer, they make 4 or 5 full-body rotations before releasing the weight into the air. Strength is essential, but the speed an athlete can build up while spinning is just as important. Whoever throws it the farthest wins. You've heard of synchronized swimming before, but there's a good chance you don't know how it works. There's a lot more to it than just synchronizing a routine to music, even if the sport was originally called water ballet. It's actually a mix of complicated swimming and gymnastics maneuvers that require athletes to be in excellent shape and hold their breath for long stretches of time. Swimmers can never use the bottom of the pool for support and have to use sculling motions and egg beater kicks to stay afloat even when lifting or tossing teammates out of the water. Competitions consist of a technical routine and a free routine, each lasting about 2.5 to 5 minutes. Each routine is scored on a scale of 100 and judged on their technical skills, difficulty patterns, artistic impression, execution, and of course, synchronization.